Hey guys, Waifu Belector here, the only fair human on Earth, and we've got a brand new game to talk about. One that's been taking the gaming world by storm, despite the huge shadow drop of Oblivion Remastered. I'm of course talking about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. A brand new turn-based RPG from new indie developer Sandfall Interactive. This game grabbed people's attention last June with its reveal trailer, mostly because of its intriguing story premise and unique presentation, and I was among the intrigued. And now here we are about a week after the game's release. As I said, despite the Oblivion Shadow drop, it would appear that all of the players weren't hoovered up, because even though Oblivion grabbed upwards of 4 million players, Expedition 33 has still managed to sell over 1 million units, and that was just in its first 3 days. Not to mention, you'd be hard pressed to find a soul with a bad thing to say about the game. But that's true of some games that are undeserving of such praise too. So is the praise deserved here with Expedition 33, or is it just hype and indie favor? Well, I've played the whole game now, and that's what we're here to talk about. What's good about it, what's bad about it, and the indifferent facts about it. Of course, if you end up enjoying, please remember to like the video later and consider subscribing. But without further ado, let's get to the expedition. So okay, I just want to start off with the most important part here and dive straight into the gameplay of Expedition 33. Like I mentioned, this game is turn-based, and that's very appealing to the more niche gaming base that it's supposed to be appealing to. However, I have to say, it goes beyond that. You see, this isn't your granddad's turn-based RPG, because this is an active turn-based system. What that means, if you don't know, is that when you're attacked or initiating an attack, there are quick time events or inputs you can press in time with attacks to either do more damage or reduce damage taken. It's been done before by other games, this is hardly the first, but it makes turn-based combat a little less plot and watch than it typically is. But what's more, what really stands out about this game's combat is that this is the most active turn-based system I think I've ever played. The only other turn-based game I can think of that feels this involved, this active, this reactionary is probably the Mario and Luigi games, but it is in a very different way. And honestly, in Expedition 33, it feels as if your reactions and input timings are just as, if not more important than the tactical aspects. To the point that I think the people who like turn-based combat would be the ones to have a problem with it before the people who don't usually mesh with turn-based. That is to say, if someone were to have a problem with the combat, because odds are you won't take issue with the combat no matter who you are. So yeah. What are the active parts of this active turn-based system? Well, there's no block or guard to reduce damage like some other games. Instead, there's only dodge and parry, at least on defense. And that's exactly what makes it so active. You have the opportunity to dodge or parry every single attack that comes your way, making it very possible to get out of just about any fight without damage. And it's very satisfying when that happens, especially when your enemy got a sufficient amount of turns, but you just dodged and parried everything. It feels great. And amongst all of the enemies you'll encounter, there are tons of different rhythms and timings to attacks, everything ranging from exceedingly fast to hilariously delayed windups. Now, as you might assume, it's easier to dodge than it is to parry. The dodge animation is just active for longer. So when you're unsure of an attack, it's probably best to dodge. However, the parrying in this game is essential and amazing. This isn't the kind of parry system that is unrewarding and thus makes parrying feel less like a viable option and more like a trap to get you hit. I've seen a good amount of games have that kind of parry design. Expedition 33 is not one of them. When you parry an enemy's attack here, you get big damage. It's so worth the risk. It's so worth learning and practicing because it's so rewarding and it feels so good. You also gain AP from successful parries, which are just the action points that allow you to use character skills, regular turn-based RPG stuff. Now, here's the thing. A lot of enemies have multi-hitting attacks. In fact, multi-hitting attacks are more prevalent than single-hitting ones. And to actually successfully parry, you have to parry every single hit of the attack. And with dodging, you can dodge individual hits, but of course, the goal is to dodge all of them. This is why the game is so incredibly active despite being turn-based. A swath of uniquely timed multi-hitting attacks are always coming your way, so you have to be on the ball. Because this part of the combat, this active part, is not a garnish or an afterthought. If you aren't dodging or parrying a significant amount of attacks, you probably won't make it all the way through the game. So yes, the game is turn-based, but it's so fucking active within those turns that it's eliminated any sense of the boringness that turn-based detractors might feel is associated with the genre. And I didn't even talk about the offensive side either, because that just adds more activity. Again, a variety of input timings that can allow you to do more damage, receive more healing, extra effects, you name it. If you press your buttons with the right timings, things get easier. And some of them are kind of tricky. Not to mention, there are what are called risky attacks, where failing the timings will see you damage yourself, and it's not a little bit of damage from what I can tell. But yeah, while the combat is the heart of the game and is truly great, the actual foundation that any RPG stands on, I've said it before, is its freedom of choice. Be it in story or gameplay, freedom of choice is important to have in an RPG, and Expedition 33 chooses to do it through its combat. See, you have these things called pictos. Pictos give unique equipable buffs like 10% more damage, or burn enemies with your basic attack, or gain attack up when hit. Stuff like that. And there are a metric shit ton of pictos, but each character can only equip 3 at a time. Seems restrictive. However, after using a Picto 3 times, it becomes a Lumina, which makes it equipable by everyone all at once for a certain Lumina point value. And each character gains Lumina points when they level up, and you can find items to give you more points. So after you turn a Picto into a Lumina, you can remove the Picto, but spend your Lumina points to retain its benefits. Then you can equip a new Picto and start the cycle over again. And the amount of Lumina points a character can gain is infinite. So theoretically, you can reach a point where you can have every character equipped with every Picto effect you can get your hands on. Now obviously, some of the more efficient Pictos cost more Lumina points, so you likely won't have enough points to have everything active all the time, and you'll have to prioritize properly. It's so cool, it's so deep, it's so enjoyable. And as far as I can tell, enemies in this game don't scale with you. It's hard to tell because the enemies' levels don't show, but it doesn't feel like they scale with you, which in my opinion is good. It kind of defeats the purpose of a leveling system if the enemies gain stats to nullify my stat increases every time. So yeah, you can grind if you want in this game. I certainly did some grinding for a couple of levels once or twice. Relatively short grinds though, honestly, compared to other games. Now I will say, as far as side content goes, it's mostly fine, but sometimes it's dished out in a way that doesn't feel like it's an option. Like, you'll enter a new area in the overworld, and before you go to the main mission, you decide to look around and do some side stuff. Oh, what's this? I'll fight it. Oops, turns out if it hits you at all, you die, and you can't really hurt it at all at your level. Oh, okay, I'll go somewhere else. Oh, here's a different thing. I'll fight this. Oops, too strong again. Okay, fuck it, main mission it is. It feels like that happens sometimes, but it's not incredibly damaging to the game at all. And there are very few combat encounters that just feel like poorly thought out bullshit or have terrible gimmicks. They do exist, and they suck when you run into them. A few are mandatory, but there are very few in comparison to the amount of fights in the game. That's about the gist of what you're dealing with in terms of gameplay. Inner level designs are also very good, I might add. But alright, let's talk about the story, because the game puts a lot of emphasis on its story, which means the story then holds a lot of weight in the critiquing of this game. So I'll say this, both in terms of story and gameplay, the pacing is a little off. It's fine, it's not bad, but it feels just a little off. Things can tend to be slightly slower or more tedious than they need to be often, but it doesn't flat out ruin anything. You can just sometimes start to feel a boredom creep up on you before you then get reeled back in. It always reels you back in before you're in a true lull. But yeah, the story starts off very good, very strong, very interesting, and easy to get invested in. Then It remains mysterious for so long, you lack pretty much any information for such a long time that you almost struggle to remain intrigued. And then you get hit with so much information in such a short amount of time that you are hit with almost twice the intrigue and investment that you had in the beginning. And you are given proper time to also kind of process the answers you've received, and most things are made less ambiguous by the end too. So like I said, the pacing is a little off, but it's a great story. It's really fucking cool. No spoilers, but a lot of the subversions feel very Nier inspired, but so does some of the ambiance and music too. Honestly, if you throw a rock, you'll hit 3 games inspired by Nier in some way. But yes, it's a very good story to go along with excellent combat and everything else. The game has a little bit of a pacing issue and a little trouble parsing out its side content, but that and just some of the things that feel like they could be more, like more playable characters or even a reason to play characters other than the ones that you're comfortable with. All that stuff that are the issues, they're relatively small, but they all come together to do nothing more than keep this game from being pure perfection. And regardless of those issues, it's almost there anyway. If I had to put a number on it, I'm feeling a nice, pretty 9.5 out of 10. It's incredible. Go play Expedition 33. It's on Game Pass Ultimate or just available for purchase. You won't regret playing it, I promise. But yeah, okay, I think that's it. Thanks for watching the video. Consider liking and subscribing for more gaming commentary and reviews and think pieces. But even if you don't, I appreciate your viewership. Drop a comment if you've played or plan on playing Expedition 33. And until next time, I am Waifu Belector. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I loved Expedition 33. Goodbye.